Well, I can probably just go ahead and call the meeting to order. So let's come to order. Meeting of the Silver Falls School District Board of Directors. I see everybody attending except for Josh, and maybe he's coming.
Josh is here with me. We're at Central Hall.
Oh, okay. Hi, Josh. All right, so everybody is here, and next on the agenda is to approve the agenda. So I think it's okay to take a motion even if we don't have our cameras on.
I move to approve the agenda as published.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as published. I'm assuming no discussion. So unless you speak up, Debbie, can you take the vote?
Yes. Derek,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Tom. Tom Buchholz. Oh, he just texted. Yes. All in favor.
All right, thank you, Debbie. We just have the one agenda item tonight, which is the policy first reads package. And we have a few policies to go over for first reads. And I'm assuming that everybody read the policies, and we will go forward then and talk about each one by one. The first one is GCBDA, the Family Medical Leave first read. Is there discussion about this? Okay, I'm going to move on. We will do, I'm going to open it up just in case for GCBDA, the AR, the Federal Family and Medical Leave, State Family Medical Leave first read. Is there any discussion about this policy?
Hey, Jennifer, can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, so going back to the first one, the only question that I would have down the road, I just would be curious, the increase in people going for leave and the increases of trying to find substitutes. Just kind of curious the comparisons before and after. I know there's probably a Steve question to track it down of how much this policy is costing the district, because I know once you have over 25 employees, you're also supposed to pay an additional portion to the paid family leave. So I guess it's sometime down the road of like kind of a financial breakdown of pre-law and now it in implementation right now. That's the only thing I'd just be curious about.
All right. Anybody else for those first two policies?
Jen, the only thing I'll add is they're pretty standard. It's mostly like federal mandates and Oregon state law mandates. Josh, I appreciate your question of us being able to maybe forecast what the potential cost will look down the road. I think that's wise, so that we can kind of plan for that as we kind of move into the next couple of years with the new policy, new laws.
All right, absolutely. I assume that there will be some increased costs. So that is good for us to be aware of as we look look forward to budgeting. All right, I am going to move on then to 3A3 GCPC, the retirement of staff. Any conversation about this policy? Okay, let's move on to 3A4, ICB religious and cultural holidays.
Yeah, I can start. I've got a couple thoughts on this one in particular. With the new recommended ICB, as it stands, I don't think it goes far enough when you look at kind of the new recommended policy in conjunction with our previously existing policy and the AR rules. I think collectively, those three documents or some type of combination would be a better way to go. My main concern with the current ICB, just in and of itself, is that it only really accounts for religious and cultural holidays. It doesn't really speak to any type of guidance where religion or culture may come up in the context of curriculum, where I thought our current AR rule provided teachers some guidance when it may come up in curriculum. So I think combining the three documents, I think there's parts in each where I think we can make some headway there. Again, I think each one in and of itself just doesn't capture enough. Things like if a student is doing a research paper on, let's say, MLK, for example, I think any cursory search would show that not only was he a gifted civil rights leader, but a lot of that came from his faith base, his PhD in divinity, and then his borrowing of Gandhi's cultural and practices. And so I think it's important to provide some guidance on how that's dealt with in curriculum. And so I kind of want to open that up for discussion and maybe taking merging these three into a more holistic document.
Thanks, Derek. Others?
Yeah, I'm with Derek on this, and that the one below the IGACA that we were talking about deleting, the ICB is up actually in calendars when you look at the coding for it, instead of in the recognition of beliefs and customs. And it just seemed like, as Derek mentioned, that a lot of the things were covered double. And I think maybe we should think about maybe leaving the policies we have and incorporating that ICB parts that are pertinent and needed into it. So as Derek mentioned, kind of a merging of the two policies, maybe.
Any other comments on those ideas?
I have something real quick. I'm going through this policy. I was curious about during absences, do they always question, like through the policy for excuses, like how the process of that works for Russian holidays? I know this was a bit of maybe an odd question, but I've got questions regarding we do use the calendar when we set up I saw this happen I think last spring. We used the Orthodox calendar when we set up our school calendar to minimize absences. Is that correct?
I don't necessarily think that it's always been utilized at all. I think that there was some unique aspects of developing this year's calendar to where that there was a Russian holiday that the way Christmas and New Year's fell was kind of in that, is there a lot of time in front of the Christmas holiday or kind of a longer duration after New Year's? And so this year's calendar just is a little bit more coincidental. That there was, I guess, an opportunity to land a break that would have minimized maybe a high absenteeism day. I don't necessarily think it's consulted, on a regular basis. It just, the calendar committee happened to seize an opportunity to, because of the way the Christmas holiday fell.
And for me, when I was thinking about this, I thought of this not as a cutout particularly for one group of people over another, but the logistics of actually having a good amount of students that just would not be present in the school for a reason. For this one to be maybe a religious holiday, but when you're trying to ask teachers to catch up a quarter of their classroom or a quarter of a school, particularly out of Butte Creek, I feel like it makes sense to minimize the work for teachers, just try to, like we have regarding these policies here, for the accommodations, to try to make sure we're not adding more work to the teachers' plate. So I really agreed with, I think, that decision. So thanks, Dan.
Yes, you're welcome. And I think, another one that you can kind of look at it a little bit this way on ICB, where it talks about major religious and cultural holidays. I think some could make the argument that, having conferences the weeks of Thanksgiving is a little late in the school year. I don't think too many districts wait beyond that, but it does happen to coincide with the Thanksgiving holiday and allow families to have that week off in preparation for Thanksgiving. I'm just throwing this out there as an example of how you build a calendar, even though I think some could make the argument that conferences might be better served early in the year. It's a way of striking some balance there. So I do think that we do make an effort in our calendar to accommodate families and, even cultural holidays like Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Dan. Any other discussion about this policy, religious and cultural holidays? I think that the idea that Phil and Derek are in support of is worth exploring. Is anybody opposed to that? Doesn't look like it. Looks like we are all supportive of exploring that option. So Dan, that would fall to you. Are you able to accommodate us on that?
Yes, I did a little bit of research into this, and we can retain IGACA and its AR and incorporate the language in from ICB into those policies. So OSBA's recommendation was just not to adopt ICB as it is and continue with IGACA and its AR. So hearing board members' feedback, we will not delete IGACA and its AR. The next time you see it, we will incorporate some of the pieces of ICB that are not existent in those two policies, and we'll bring that back before you.
Great. Okay, so we don't need to talk about the delete. But then we have IGBHD program exemptions. And Dan, did you want to talk about that at all? You don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot now. Okay. Open it up to board members for discussion about that last policy.
I have one. It has to do with the switching of the authority. I was talking to Dan about this a little bit, but when it says the district may excuse students, and then we took the board out of that, I was kind of curious on the background of why that was, and then I was also looking for maybe examples of program exemptions, like when this actually would come into play, as well as disabilities, because I was trying to understand the purpose of this and when it comes into play.
Got it. I just want to say that to me, when I read it, and Dan, let you have the floor next. when I read it and it saw that it was a change from the board was crossed out and they put district, that made actually a lot of sense to me, because I don't think that the process requires the board involvement on that. That's like too much in the weeds for us. So that makes sense to me. Dan, you might want to chime in on the examples.
Well, I agree with you, Jennifer. I would have to do a little bit more research as to was there context around this, the previous policy, because the board would not be in necessarily a good place to, when you only meet twice a month, to be responsive to parents bringing this forward. And so I would need to do a little bit deeper dive on this. But I certainly can think of certain religious groups that don't practice holiday programs. And so in the weeks leading up to, like an elementary holiday program, they may be exempting their kids out of those classes and need alternatives. So that would be a conversation that a principal and or teacher might be having with a family. That'd be one example. I could think of certain students with disabilities that, that may be highly sensory impacted, that certain activities within a school, there might be sensory issues to where there might be some exemptions there. So those are just a couple that come to mind. I'm sort of a little curious about this policy as to what a board's involvement would have been previously. So I might do a little I might nerd out on that policy a little bit for you, Josh, and kind of figure that out. But to Jennifer's point, I think the building level is where this belongs to make these accommodations in a timely and responsive manner.
Yeah, I think I was just going to add, I think, as you take a look at it, it seems like it would and should be handled at a slightly lower level, or that primary point of contact not come to us.
Any other board members want to chime in on that last policy? All right, well, it looks like we might be policied out. I'm gonna adjourn unless there's any objection. I appreciate everybody meeting via computer today, because it just didn't make much sense to make Daniel set up the middle school for this, but we also didn't want to wait an entire month to get these policies started in their cycle. So
Jennifer, we're
everybody's help.
thankful because we just finished our meeting here at Central Howell with the PTCC 2 minutes before the meeting started. So we're very thankful for that.
Appreciate you to Josh and Scott talking to those folks over there. So without objection, I'm going to say
Jennifer,
yeah.
Jennifer, can I add one little quick thing? So when these policies come up for second read at the November board meeting, the policies that we had in first read in September did not get on the October agenda. So you're going to see a lot more second reads on the November meeting. And so if you're wondering where did those come from, we didn't get them on the October agenda from September to October, if that makes sense.
Got it. So we've seen them. There's been a gap.
There's been a gap.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Can I adjourn now? All right.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.